On March 9th, it is very uncommon to find a warm and green place in the continental United States. But at 7:30 on this beautiful Saturday morning, we are in Bradenton, Florida, as the southbound Tropicana juice train slumbers into Bradenton, Florida, with empty juice reefer cars in tow. This turn job out of Tampa runs as 0823, which takes empty reefers from QO45 and takes them south to Bradenton, Florida, where they are dropped at the Tropicana plant. The train will then take northbound reefers up to Tampa, Florida, where they'll sit in Yeoman Yard and wait for the evening departure of Q046. The tracks the Tropicana trains run on, out of Tampa, are the CSX Palmetto subdivision. The Tampa Southern was incorporated in 1917, and soon after built tracks to Sarasota, with the first passenger trains running to Sarasota in December of 1924. The Tampa Southern began at the Atlantic Coastline Railroad Uceda Yard and ran south, paralleling the east shore of Tampa Bay. The line eventually ran from Tampa to Fort Ogden, eventually being part of Atlantic Coastline's massive system in Florida. The Tampa Southern prospered very greatly until the 1967 merger with the Seaboard Airline, which had a parallel line. The Atlantic Coastline route was favored over the Seaboard Airline north of Bradenton, so the Atlantic Coastline routing still remains today as the through route to Tampa, with small segments of the old Seaboard Airline still in service. One of these segments is home to the Florida Railroad Museum, located in Parrish, Florida. Moving to the Tropicana Yard in Bradenton, Florida, we see the juice train as it arrives in the yard. Currently, the juice train is coming off of what is former Atlantic Coastline trackage and entering what was once the former Seaboard Airline. South of the yard, where the line continues south for a few miles as the Seminole Gulf Railway, the line is former Seaboard Airline trackage, with the Atlantic Coastline tracks falling victim to the merger.
Wheel end up ahead.
84. After getting permission, 0823 can now break up its train in the Tropicana Yard. The Tropicana Yard is now a stub-end yard since the merger, so the Tropicana train must back into the yard as it breaks up its trains. Now let's watch as ES40DC 5284 leads the train past our cameras with a rare K5HLB horn and an EMD cast bell, as the unit was involved in a wreck a few years prior. Since late 2018, 0823 has been taking freight cars down with the reefers. This saves the local out of Tampa a trip all the way down the line to Bradenton. This is all a result of precision scheduled railroading first implemented by Hunter Harrison. Although Hunter Harrison is now gone, its legacy still continues on in today's railroading on CSX.
35284.
With the freight cars now in their specified location in the yard, the reefers can now be sorted out into their proper places at the Tropicana plant. As the Tropicana train breaks up its consist, SD40-3 4035 is fired up and ready to go as it builds the loaded train that will soon depart out of Bradenton heading northbound. After breaking down its train for nearly 45 minutes, the head end finally gets back even with us as the last cuts of the train are backed into their proper places in the yard.
That's good. 524, please. Yeah, that's good.
With the 0823 crew done switching the yard, the conductor can now get rid of the trash as the engineer attempts to catch it, and 4035 can start switching the loaded car. Before the road power can move up to US 301 and wait for its train, ST40-3 4291 is coupled onto the back end of the power as this unit is heading for Waycross, Georgia for servicing. Leaving the Tropicana yard behind, we locate to the north end of Bradenton at the Manatee River drawbridge. This classic Tampa Southern structure still hosts the Tropicana juice train as it crosses over the big Manatee River bridge. As the Tropicana juice train prepares to depart Bradenton, the span is lowered to prevent boat traffic from crossing and allowing the Tropicana train to cross right on top of the water at a very low level. Shortly before 1:30 p.m., the northbound Tropicana juice train arrives at the Manatee River drawbridge. Note the fouled K5HL on the lead ES40DC. Moving to Ruskin, Florida, we are now at the classic Atlantic coastline built swing bridge that spans the Little Manatee River. Now let's watch as 0823 crosses this bridge at restricted speed. Seeing all the classic Atlantic coastline infrastructure reminds us of the once great Atlantic coastline that ruled over the Tampa Southern.
Everybody calls me bold. I got no money but a whole road. Some folks say I'm just the no good kind. I can ride for miles in an old boxcar, smoke cigarette butts and use cigars, riding the Atlantic coastal line. Hear that lonesome whistle whine, smell that tar from a Georgia pine, see that great big moon above. Hobo's life is a life I love, riding the Atlantic coastal line, riding the Atlantic coastal line.
Moving to the Palm River holdout near the Palm River into South Tampa, we now see the Tropicana juice train one more time as we see ahead for the Yeoman Yard in Tampa. Note the old Seaboard Coastline signal still in service here, as most of these installations on the Florida S-Line have been removed. Moving into Tampa, we are now at the Navy Y as Amtrak 91 approaches as it begins its unique backup move into Tampa Union Station. The Silver Star service turns west at Lakeland and heads to Tampa, Florida, where it goes around the Y and backs into the Stub End Terminal. We are at the north end of the Y as the train will pass us and then back up and take the switch into Tampa Station. Moving to just east of the station, we are at the Tico streetcar crossing as it crosses the end of the A line, with the Tampa station a quarter-mile to our west. Just after 3, Amtrak 91 has completed its station stop and departs for points east and points south until it reaches its destination of Miami, Florida. The train was almost 3 hours late at this point, as we watch it pass our cameras as it crosses over the Tico streetcar diamond. Moving to the Florida S Line, which is ex-Seaboard Airline trackage, we are at the east end of Yeoman Yard at 78th Street as Q442 comes out of the yard for headroom as it crosses the Tampa Bypass Canal. This canal was constructed after the railroad was, so the bridge is newer than the railroad. Now let's watch as this train passes our cameras with an ES40DC and an AC44CW trailing. After multiple switching moves, Q442 is finally done switching as its back end passes the Tampa Bypass Canal. At this point, the conductor would be taken by a car to the front of the train, with the train officially departing soon after. The Tampa Bypass Canal also goes underneath the A line just to the north of this location as we see Amtrak 92, the northbound Silver Star, pass over. Moving to downtown Tampa, we now see Amtrak 92 do the same move that 91 did earlier in the afternoon, which includes backing into Tampa Union Station. This section of A-Line hosts many crossings, which requires an air whistle on the baggage car that the conductor blows at each crossing. Being the day before daylight savings time began, the sun was already setting as Amtrak 92 departed Tampa Union Station for points east and north. Now let's watch as this train passes our cameras. As the Silver Star heads for New York City, we thank you for watching AD Productions. We hope you enjoyed this video brought to you from the Sunshine State. As always, happy rail fanning and train chasing as the season of spring